Alright, this is gonna be my Agatha All Along, episode 3, immediate reaction slash review. I thought this episode was pretty good. This is the first witch trial that the Coven is now on, and I gotta say, it was really interesting. There was some really cool team dynamic stuff going on in this episode, some good horror aspects as well. I also want to comment on the practical sets. It looks really, really good, especially for a Disney Plus show. The set design, the costumes, just everything looks really good in the show so far. So episode 3 is all about the first witch trial, and basically they drink this wine, and then there's these really bad side effects, and the last side effect is death, and obviously they don't want to die, so they're trying to prevent it, and they have to go make this potion spell thing to heal their bodies. And I thought it was pretty fun, the one witch who's a expert at making these potions and stuff had to figure out the right way to do it, and everyone else is hallucinating, including herself. And, it was kind of cool. We got some horror aspects there. Now, granted, it was very, very mild. I don't think it's enough to get pretty much anybody scared. Maybe a little kid, but not any adults, I don't think. But I do hope that is just a taste and that they really do dive into the whole horror aspect of this show, especially with a TVMA rating. They should definitely do it. And this is also the perfect show to do that kind of thing. It's a scary, witch show with a mature rating. You can easily make this super scary, especially around the Halloween season. But yeah, basically the whole episode is just the witches hallucinating. You see some crazy stuff. You see, Agatha, she hears, a baby crying, and then she flips over the blanket, and it's actually the Darkhold, because it was revealed that she traded her son for the Darkhold. Now, I'm assuming we're probably going to see her son being, an agent of Mephisto later on, which, speaking of Mephisto, we actually got our first ever name drop of Mephisto in the MCU in episode 3 of Agatha All Along. I can't remember the witch's name that name dropped Mephisto, but it's this girl right here. I believe her name is Jennifer. But the second she said it, I was like, oh my goodness, the internet is gonna explode, because people have been theorizing about Mephisto in the MCU for years now, ever since WandaVision, really, which was in 2021, so it's been almost 4 years now where people have been theorizing about Mephisto and all that, and now that he has a name drop, we're definitely gonna see him pretty soon. A lot of rumors are saying that he's going to first actually appear in the Ironheart series. But they are laying the groundwork for him in Agatha All Along with this name drop, and I'm sure there's going to be other connections later on in this season. We also got a Wanda name drop from Mrs. Hart. She kind of went back to her WandaVision programming, was like, Wanda, stop! Just when, I forgot what her husband's name, but he was choking or whatever, and then she was pleading to Wanda, hey, stop, stop, stop. So it was kind of cool to have a little reference to WandaVision there. And speaking of Mrs. Hart, R.I.P. Mrs. Hart. I think she's probably going to pop up later on in this series. Maybe she's revealed to be a witch or something, I don't know. But if that was truly the end of Deborah Jo Rupp in the MCU, it was short-lived, but I'm glad she was in it. The big takeaway for me in today's episode, though, has to be the whole Mephisto thing. I think that's just huge, to finally have his name spoken in the MCU. I'm sure Agatha's son is probably working for Mephisto or something as well, and Aubrey Plaza's character, who was revealed to be someone very important, which I'm not going to spoil in this review, but if you want to find out who she's playing, just go on Twitter, it's everywhere. But yeah, I think they're all going to be interconnected with this big magical story. But yeah, that was episode 3 of Agatha All Along. I really enjoyed it. I think this series is pretty decent. It's not bad, it's not amazing. I'm just enjoying the ride so far. For episode 3, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I think it's a really solid episode. I really like the practical effects, the costumes and all that, the team dynamic, and I really appreciated some of the horror that they ended up adding into this episode. Now, like I said, it was pretty mild, and I really hope that they delve into that in future episodes. But overall, I had a really good time with episode 3. So far, this series is pretty damn good. And I think it's going to be super important to the supernatural side of the MCU. A lot of people are saying it's like its own thing. It's not going to be, super connected to the MCU. But honestly, with the mention of Mephisto and then possibly, Aubrey Plaza's character being in multiple projects, and then we've got obviously Wiccan, I think that's extremely obvious. Like, I think this show is going to really set up some crazy stuff for the supernatural side of the MCU. And then, like I said, they name dropped Wanda in this episode too. Like, what if they tease the return of the Scarlet Witch? Like, this series is going to be huge for Marvel Studios, mark my words. My only real negative with episode 3 is the runtime. It's so frustrating, this Disney Plus formula of like 25 to 30-minute episodes. You wait a week for such a short episode. Like, it's just kind of crazy. You can just combine two, and we're at about an hour. Today's episode, not including the intro credits and all that, was around 32 minutes, so realistically it was probably a 30-minute episode. It felt a little bit rushed, a little bit, too short. Like, it felt like it needed another 10-15 minutes to feel like a true TV episode. But that's a common Disney Plus complaint for pretty much all of their TV shows so far. So I really hope they learn from that, and by the time Daredevil Born Again comes out, I hope those episodes are around like 45-50 minutes long, because right now these short episodes just aren't cutting it. But that's my thoughts on episode 3 of Agatha All Along. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments.